Hello, everybody. Dr. Duck Vong, world famous bariatric surgeon, author of 13 books. How the heck are you? Just if you're new to me, I want to show you my med school diploma right there. I am an MD, Texas A&M Health Science Center right there. I graduated in 2000. And then I went on and did a general surgery residency. Now, why do I show you my diploma? It's because a lot of people are new to me and they're looking for information. And the reality is, you can get it from different sources. And I am retired. I quit working a few years ago, but I have a large bariatric following. So that's why I talk about coronavirus, because, at this current time, the number one risk factor for poor outcomes from coronavirus is actually not age, not diabetes, not high blood pressure. It's actually morbid obesity, which is my following. So I had to pivot, just like all of us have had to pivot, and start talking about coronavirus. So today, I'm going to talk about the different testing and can you test negative and still have coronavirus, and what you should do for Thanksgiving. So if that all sounds good to you, hit share. If you're watching this on the replay, you can fast forward to about the 5-minute mark. That's when I'll get started. I'm also going to test myself with a COVID rapid test here I have in my hand. And I'll test myself on screen today. And also next week, I'm going to get an antigen test. And that's why I'm talking about these different tests. And I'll test myself with that. And we'll go from there. So while we're waiting to see, hit the share button. I would appreciate that. And my friend here from France is watching. That's awesome. My buddy Dan Wynn, looking good, looking sharp right there. Marissa's I'm your baby daddy. I am. I did her sleeve. That's what that means. Alana Cohen, what's up? How are you? Sandy, aloha. Gig'em. That's right. Texas A&M, baby. San Diego. I love San Diego. It is a beautiful, beautiful city. And the prices are going to drop. Good evening from South Carolina. I lost my grandmother November 9th with COVID-19. Pray for my family. Jessica, I'm so sorry. So while where are you watching from? While we're waiting, where are you watching from? Alyssa Del Toro. I will test myself with a COVID rapid test tonight. Later this week, I will test myself with the antigen rapid test. I test myself every 2 weeks minimum, just because it's kind of the thing to do. Love San Diego too. Wait, hold on. Somebody just said, wait 45 days for test results. Nope. Michael Horn, won't work. Not good enough. This will give you 10-minute results. I'll test myself. I'll show you how it goes. I have a special offer for you guys this weekend for Thanksgiving for the test, but we're going to give you some good information too. So San Antonio is in the house. San Antonio, Brittany, like honestly, I've been talking about this. They've been shipping patients from El Paso into San Antonio. Why? Because there aren't many cases in San Antonio. They have available beds because they don't have that many coronavirus cases, relatively speaking, compared to El Paso. So what will happen? That's right. San Antonio will get hot. I promise you. Just sent Anita some tests to Alaska. That's awesome. Oh, you know what? Nancy is totally right. If you have access to rapid tests, you should get those. You should get it. That's right. Chicago's hot. You got to be careful. I think you guys are rolling back. I think you guys are doing a 30-day mandatory shutdown. That's really, really good. David's been watching for 9 months from Columbus. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Florida, hopefully you didn't get too much flooding there from the tropical storm Eta, and there's Iota coming too. Katrina's watching on YouTube there from Wichita, Kansas. That's awesome. Where are my international people? We need rapid tests in North Dakota. You do, because you guys are running out of beds. 1 in 1,600 people in South Dakota are in the hospital with coronavirus. That's crazy. Atlanta, what's up? What's up? Pittsburgh, stay safe. That's going to be a hot area right there. We're going to talk about testing here. All right, Monterey, California. There's got to be some international people in here. Yep. What's up? Oh, there we go. Marta is in Toronto. Good job, Marta. All right, I'm going to talk about can you test negative and still have coronavirus? What does that mean? So we're going to talk about those are called false negatives. And I'm also going to talk about the different tests available. I won't go into too much detail. I will also talk about what you can do to stay safe during Thanksgiving, right? And I'm also going to test myself. What's up, Cheryl Kaufman? I'm going to test myself. Oh, look at that, South Africa. I'm going to test myself with one of my test kits, and I have a smoking offer for you guys. All right, 5 minutes. Oh, locked down from Poland, really? Wow, you guys are locked down. That's cool. Not cool. Canada, we love fish sauce here. Yeah, baby, you know it. Fish sauce rules. I went to Scott and White, so there you go. Let's get started. Hi, guys. Hit the share button for me real quick. I'm going to take a little sip of vodka. Just kidding. It's really water. Just kidding. It's really vodka. All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Duck Vong. I'm world famous bariatric surgeon, author of 13 books. I want to show you my med school diploma. Texas A&M. There you go. Doctor of Medicine. Now you know my middle name. I'm doing that because there are a lot of people talking right now, and you know, those are my credentials. You like them or don't like them. Today we're going to talk about can you test negative and still have coronavirus, right? Today is November 15th. Super important that we always talk about what the date is because so much is changing with coronavirus. So yes, today is November 15th. Okay. And as always, I will edit this video down and put it up on my YouTube channel so you can check that out. I'm also going to test myself today with a rapid test. And in fact, let's do that right now before we get started, because we are going to talk about different types of testing available. All right. This is a antigen rapid test. I'm sorry, antibody rapid test. And I make these kits. Taking my knowledge, I know what to do. So I ordered all the stuff that you'll need in here. I have a pair of gloves. I ordered some alcohol swabs for you. I ordered some Band-Aids. But here's the important stuff. This is a lancet. This is an antibody test, so it pricks your fingers. Also, I have access to the test, which most people can't get. You have to have a special clearance for this. I know I'm special. When you open it up, it'll look like this, and you'll see right there. It says COVID-19 right there on it. And you don't need a special equipment. You don't need a lab. You literally, it's a finger prick and you'll get results in 10 minutes. It's 95% accurate. Here's the buffer. I know what type of buffer to get for you. And I know what these things are called to order. So I put these kits together. If you try to order online, I don't know if you'll be able to get them. I think they'll just send you the test or some version of this test. But you're going to get this big thing of solution, and you know it's going to be a hot mess. So I'm going to test myself real quick because it's been a week. So I like to test myself at minimum every 2 weeks. But so what I do first is I open my Band-Aid. Not that you need it, but I just open it. Try not to shut this down here. There we go. And then I open an alcohol swab. Okay, right there. And this test kit that I put together has everything you need, okay? This is the finger prick. That's what you're going to use. Here's a buffer. Now, when you get your test kit, you're going to open this up, okay? And inside of it, here's the test right there. It says COVID-19 on the top right there. It's got, what you need to know about this is it's an antibody test. And can y'all see it says IgG right there? The top line says, I know it's a little bit hard, but it says C right there. That C stands for control. That control line is currently blue. Once I put the solution in there, if it turns pink, that means I have a valid test. The G means it's testing for IgG antibodies. That shows past infection. IgM, the IgM antibodies show up first. So they can show up as early as 5 days. On average, it's about 7 days, but that means your body is fighting off infection. That IgM, I use that to show that you are actively infected, all right? And you can have IgMs for up to a month. Doesn't mean you're still shedding virus, but within, and we'll talk all about that. And then IgG shows you have past infection. So this first well, the square well right there, that's where you put your blood sample. And the round well is where you'll put the buffer solution. So I'm going to test myself real quick. There's the test. Put it down. Okay. All right. And then inside this test kit, the reason why I like it is it has this, don't throw this away. There's still something in here for you. There is a pipette. That's actually called a pipette. It has a little bulb on the end, right? It has a little bulb, and some people call it a turkey baster. Don't throw that away. Okay. You need it. So you take your buffer solution. This is actually called an aliquot. and you're going to open it. Okay, so it's open. And now I take my little turkey baster pipette, squeeze down. I'm squeeze down on it, suck up all of that fluid. If you don't suck up all that buffer, you might have trouble with that. All right, so can you see that? All the buffer is now in the pipette. I'm going to leave that down here. Okay. Now what I want to do is whatever hand you're going to test your finger on, it's my non-dominant hand. I'm actually left-handed, so I will test my right hand. I'll use my pointer finger and just put a little alcohol in there. If you have a large callus, like playing the guitar or hard work or something like that, you can avoid off to the side a little bit like that. But I'm going to prick my finger, and then I'm just going to pick this up and put the blood into the well, and then I'll get results in 10 minutes. So you're going to get some sort of lance right here when you order the kit. This is the actual kit. All right. And it comes with how to read it. And if you forget where to put the blood or where to put the buffer, it has I had this diagram made for you and how to read it. Okay. That's super cool. So this is just like if you're a diabetic and you're used to checking your blood sugars, it's very similar to that. You're just going to prick your finger. That's all. All right. So, and it doesn't hurt. And you literally just put this on here and 1, 2, 3. And it's painless, man. It doesn't feel anything. All I did was just push down. The blade comes out and just pricks me real quickly. And then what I want to do is I want to just milk it like that. Now, oops, I touched it by accident there. Now, if for whatever reason I don't bleed as much, then you want to drop it down below your heart, below your waist, down in here, and really milk it out like that. Okay. I don't need that much blood, but I got a bunch of blood there. Now I'm going to take my COVID test, rapid test, and I'm going to put it in the square. Oh, baby. That bad boy looks good. I bled good on this one. Now I take my alcohol pad and just wipe it off. And if you want to, you can put a Band-Aid on to kind of show your wifey that you're a tough dude, you know, that you tested and you're good right there. So I'll just put that on right there like that. Not that you need it. Now, here's the key. I'm going to take that little pipette, right? It has the buffer solution in there. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to put 2 big drops, which is almost all of the fluid, okay? So I'm just going to drop it in that little well right there. Like really into the well. Like that, okay? Shake it down there in the well. And if I miss that blood well, then what I can do is you can put a couple of drops on that right there and kind of like help that blood settle down into that well. You can do that too. That's fine. Now, what you want to see is this purple line going up towards the blue line. That will tell you if you have enough buffer. I don't think I have enough buffer. That happens sometimes. All right. We're going to watch it here in a second. It should wick up. If it doesn't wick up, I'm just going to put a little bit more buffer solution in there. There we go. I just put a little bit more buffer solution up in here. All right, now you see it. You see what's happening? Right down here, you see that purple line? That purple is moving up the cassette, and we're just going to watch it change that control line from blue to red. Okay, if it turns pink, it means we have a valid test. I said red, but it really is kind of a reddish pink, right? That means it's a valid test. And what it's doing is that buffer solution is pulling the blood up, separating the components of the blood, and it's going to try to detect at the G and the M certain antibodies code. All right, that looks awesome. So see that blue line has turned pink. That means I have a valid test, okay? Now, it's 14 after. I'm going to set this down, and I'm going to read this in 10 minutes, and it will give me my results. That's it. And I created this card for you. Comes in each test kit, and what we're looking for is just nothing here except for the IG, except for the control line. It's positive. You can have just the IgM that tells you're actively infected, or just the IgG that says that you've had in the past. You can also have both. If you have both, that could either mean you're actively infected and you are creating antibodies, IgG antibodies, because you're getting over the infection, or worst case scenario, it could mean that you've had it in the past and now you're having it, you've been reinfected, right? So these test kits, and then, it's 10-minute results. 10-minute results. You read it in 10 minutes. You don't send it into a lab. You don't have to have any special equipment. That's it. I put these kits together because I know what to order and I know how to do it. And I offer, these are, Costco sells a antigen test, a saliva test, which we'll talk about here in a second, for $130 a test. And you have to mail it in. That's 2 days to mail in to a lab. They have 48 hours to get it back to you. That's 2 days. So you get the results in 4 days. If you use the Costco one, that's $130. I sell these for $5 for $500, $100 each, $5 for $500. But for Thanksgiving, my Thanksgiving special, if you're watching tonight, I'm selling these right now for $50 each, minimum order, pay attention, minimum order of 20, right? So that's $1,000 commitment. It used to be 40. It was $2,000, but now I've dropped that price down to 20. And so for $1,000, you can really have a get together. And I'm going to explain why that's important. All right, it's been 2 minutes, still no line. We'll read the results here in a second. I'm going to talk about the different tests. All right. So to get the test, if you're interested, just message me. Go to facebook.com/Dr. Vong. Send me a message. There's no website. There's no like, I need to do my own due diligence. Don't even come here with that shit, right? This is the test I use on myself. You just saw me do it. This is what I give Erica. This is what I give Erica's mom, and this is what I use to test my neighbor because they have a little 7-year-old daughter that plays with my 4-year-old daughter. And so I test all their family. This is what I use. Okay. So I trust it. If I trust it, hopefully you trust it. I'm going to talk about that today in today's video. If you don't, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I need to do my due diligence, Dr. Vong. Like, okay, I don't really know why. Right? Because you're going to know something better. I don't know. Okay, so just message me. That's the Thanksgiving special. Comment 20 for $1,000. So I know that you understand. It's $50 a test times 20 tests. That's $1,000. I'll overnight ship them for $100. So it's $1,100 investment total. So comment, go to facebook.com/Dr. Vong and comment 20 for 1,000. All right. With that, I wanted to get to talking about, can you test negative? Okay. Number one. There's something that you have to understand. And here we go. So let's get started, right? With every virus, with actually every infection, there is something called the incubation period, guys. Incubation period. Okay. All it takes is for you to be exposed with one virus. One. It's like a cancer cell. You only need one cancer cell. You only need one virus. So if you get one virus or two viruses, or into your nose or your respiratory tract, there's an incubation period where there is no test, zero. No test will pick it up. It doesn't matter if it's a nasal, oral, blood, antigen. It doesn't matter. During the incubation period, there is no test that will pick up the virus. Okay. That incubation period, pay attention, can be 14 days, up to 14 days. That's why we've been telling you guys to quarantine for 14 days, because statistically speaking, it's not like suddenly the 15th day you're all clear. But for the most part, after 14 days, statistically speaking, most people will be clear. Now, the average incubation period is 5 days. 5 days. That's average, right? So from the time you think you were exposed, that's also the other problem. That's also the other problem, is that you don't know exactly when you were exposed. Oh, my coworker tested positive. Well, when was the last time you saw them? This was the last time, but that doesn't mean you were exposed at that time, And remember, the CDC calls exposure close contact for 15 minutes with someone who later tests positive. It's 15 minutes. I know they've talked about dropping that guideline to even 10 minutes shorter. All right, we got 4 more minutes and then we'll read my test. Okay, so there's an incubation period. The average is 5 days from exposure, right? During that first 5 days, no test is going to test positive. So that means you get something called, so this is the main topic. What we're talking about tonight is this: false negatives. That means you have tested negative, but it's not accurate. Your PCR, your nasal, your antigen, your oral, your blood, which I just took, it's still, you actually have the virus in you. It's just too small to detect. This is very similar to when we say to patients with cancer, we tell them you are in cancer remission. We rarely ever, we really, doctors really don't say you are cured of your cancer. We actually say you are non-detectable, right? We can't detect your cancer. You are in cancer remission. So nobody should ever say I'm cured of cancer, because and cancer starts and it only takes one cancer cell. So you're never cured. So it's similar to that, which means given our testing models, we can't detect virus. So it's possible during that first incubation period. Remember, incubation period is from exposure, day 0, to up to 14 days. The average is 5 days. We can't detect you. Okay. Now, false negatives. So that's about 100% false negatives. It's crazy. Now, that rate, after you start having symptoms, here's the key. And this is the problem. You have to start having symptoms. This is what's really fucked up, right? By the time you're having symptoms, cough, feeling bad, especially loss of taste and smell, which we will talk about in another video, because I need to talk about the flu season, cold viruses, things like that, because we're seeing allergies. But symptoms matter. Once your symptoms start showing up, then the false negative rate drops. So that by day 2 of symptoms, your rate of false negative has dropped down to like 30%. By day 3 and 4, the more it goes, it drops down lower and lower and lower. By day 4 or 5 of having symptoms, it's like 20% false negative. But you still have a false negative. You can still have false negatives like 5 days into having symptoms. Why, Dr. V? Because if you do a nasal or a throat swab, they can miss the virus. You can have virus in you and they miss it. So some people comment, like have been saying, have you noticed the article about like the tweet, Elon Musk, I tested like for coronavirus and 2 tests were negative and 2 tests were positive. What the hell's going on? Well, Elon Musk is smart and he has smart people around him and they will explain to him. It depends on what test. He never said what test. Is it an antibody test? Is it an antigen test? Is it a PCR test? And it could have been a combination of all of those. He might have done an antigen rapid test, which we'll talk about here in a second, which is can have a high false negative rate, right? Or one would be negative, one could be positive, and then they retest with a PCR, which shows positive, and then they could have retested with an antibody, and he hasn't formed antibodies yet, which could be negative again, which then explains your 2 and 2. We just don't know the story. It's just people are jumping to conclusions, right? So symptoms matter. If you have symptoms, the longer you go with symptoms, the false negative rate drops, but it never goes to 0. This is crazy. And it doesn't matter which test, okay? So let's talk about the test real quick. Number 4, there are 3 types of tests. Currently, okay? And it doesn't really matter that it's coronavirus. It could be any virus, but it's molecular, antigen, and antibody. So molecular is the one that most people are familiar with. This is the one you shove up the nose, put in the throat, and you're looking for DNA material. So genetic material. I misspoke. Genetic material. If it's a DNA virus, you're looking for DNA. If it's a RNA virus, you're actually looking for RNA. So coronavirus is actually an RNA virus. So in this case, the molecular test, the one they shove up your nose, it's looking for RNA. So it's a PCR. It reverse transcriptases. It reproduces it. Okay. Now that takes special equipment. It takes time. It takes a lab. And now with this pandemic going fuckity fuck crazy here in America, you're going to see what happened back in April, which you're going to have huge testing lines, huge turnovers. Who remembers back in May when there were videos of long lines of cars? In fact, comment now if you're in Wisconsin or one of these hot areas where there are long lines of cars, and they are testing thousands and thousands of people in Dodge Stadium there in LA, Chicago, Wisconsin, and you're having to wait hours, right? And then not only once you get tested, now they have to send this to a lab. Well, labs have employee personnel limitations. It takes time to run the test. You can't, it's not like dropping a solution, reading the test, by the way. It is literally, oh, I got my results, hot damn. And it is actually like, it takes reagent. You could run out of reagent. It takes time to run the machines. It takes people. You got to mail it back. And yes, there are apps. You could pay extra for an app. Not everybody wants to pay extra for an app. They can message you. They can email you. But there are rules and regulations against that. So that's what you're doing when you're talking PCR and stuff. Now, the PCR ones are the most sensitive ones. That means they will detect the virus at the lowest level. Right? They're the most sensitive. They're the ones that we rely on to pick up the virus. Problem is they still have false negatives because you can miss the virus. You can miss here, miss here, miss here. So there's no telling if the tech who did Elon Musk missed the virus. I mean, you just don't know, right? Maybe if it's a self-test, you didn't shove it up far enough. The tech didn't push it up far enough. You squirmed, you jumped, you gagged, and they couldn't get a good sample. Right? So there are false negatives with the molecular. The antigen is actually checking for proteins. Proteins are what the DNA makes. So it's not as sensitive as the DNA, the molecular, I did it again, right? The genetic material. It's not as sensitive because you're still waiting for the virus to start producing proteins, and that's what you're detecting with an antigen. Now you can do the nasal antigen, oral antigen, and then the saliva test that you've heard about. Now the saliva test, very inaccurate. Why? There's a lot of shit up in here. Human mouths are nasty, y'all. You know what you did last night. Come on. You know what you did last night. Last night was Saturday. You know what you did. There's a lot of shit in that mouth. It's nasty. In fact, your mouth is nastier than a dog's mouth. If a dog bites you, if a dog bites you on the hand, we wash out your hand, we give you some antibiotics, stitch it up, send you home. If you get into a fight or someone bites you, fuck. Now we got to wash it out, stitch you up. We admit you to the hospital and we put you on IV antibiotics because the human mouth is nastier than a dog's mouth. So now you understand why the saliva test, like, it's just give me the fucking saliva, give me the test already. You know how hard that is? How many different bacteria, the crap, and oral cavity, and you got cavities, and you got shit, you got rotten gum, stank mouth, you got all sorts of crap going on in there. Don't lie. You know what you did Friday night? Got a little strange on the side? Come on now. See, aren't you impressed? You're probably like, how the hell did he know what strange is? You guys know what strange is? You get a little strange on the side? All right, so mouth is nasty. So the saliva tests are very inaccurate, but they're detecting antigen. Now the antibody test, the one that I just took, the one that I put together in my rapid test, this is a blood test. You saw me prick my finger. I put it in the cassette, and put in some buffer solution. I don't need a special lab. I got results in 10 minutes. It's actually been 15 minutes. I can read the results. Ready? I can read them as soon as 10 minutes, up to 15 minutes, and after 25 minutes, they're invalid. So I made these cards for you. We're going to read my test. What we want to see for a negative test is just the control line, no IgM, no IgG, okay? So here we go, drum roll. How did Dr. Vong test this week? Ta-da! Still negative, still negative. So let me show you what this means. The IgG, IgM are the first antibodies that come up. So if I had a pink line by IgM, y'all see that? If I had a pink line under IgM, that would mean that my body is actively trying to fight off this infection because it's the first new antibodies that come. The IgGs are what we call the memory antibodies. That would be the second line. And the IgGs show that we've had past infections. So this test will pick up for active infections as well as past infections. Now, but Dr. Vong, on the CDC, I Googled it, I looked at this, and it's not used for active. Well, because I'll tell you why. It depends. First of all, if you've decided as a country, as an organization, that you've partnered with these labs for this PCR stuff, which one are you going to push? Are you going to push the test that you've partnered with to promote? Or are you going to push the antibody test? No, you're going to push the PCR test. And I've already said it detects it at a lower level. But even that first 5 days, it still has false negatives. Just like any antigen test, antibody test. During the incubation period, no test will be positive. Okay. Now, the antibody, why, Dr. Vong, then do they not use the antibody test to show active infection? Well, mostly because you have to have an immune response. See, the other tests, you just have to have virus in you. With this, the host, me, I have to be young enough and healthy enough to have an immune response. So if you are, for example, on a cancer treatment and you are immunosuppressed, or you have arthritis, or you take in medicine like Humira that suppresses your immune response, immune system, you might not have antibodies because this test is checking for your antibodies. On the other hand, if you're relatively healthy, you're young, and you've been tested in the past, and you've been able to demonstrate that you have an immune response, then you're good to go. You can take this test, right? Understanding that any test in the 5 to 7 day window period, incubation period, will show up negative. Now, let me ask you this, because some people are like, well, then we just need the PCR to test positive. What's going to happen? Do the math with me. You have a 5 day incubation period. Then you start having symptoms, right? So now, and then you kind of, well, maybe it's cold, maybe it's allergy. So now you're waiting. Let's say you wait 2 days. Let's say you're a wimp. Let's say you're a wuss like Dr. V, and you wait 2 or 3 days before going to test yourself. So now you're at day 7 or 8. You go in a line and you get tested. And now it takes 4 or 5 days to get results. Now you're at day 12, 13. In which case you could have just stayed at home and tested yourself. But Dr. Vong, I need to know why if I'm positive. Why? Well, because I don't want my other people to get sick. What's it matter? The whole time you're going to have to isolate. If you think you have coronavirus, doesn't matter what the test says, you should be quarantining at home. Make sense? Yes? Give me an amen. Yes? Your ass should be at home quarantining. Oh, well, you're not going around like, oh, I might have coronavirus. I'm still going to go to the barber shop. I'm still going to go shopping, and I'm going to cough on everything. What type of asshole are you? If you're sick and you're not feeling well and you're coughing and you've lost your sense of taste, you're staying home and waiting for the test. So if the test takes 4, 5, 6, 10 days like it did in May to get results, what the fuck's the point? You could wait till day 7, 2 days after having symptoms, 3 days after having symptoms, and test yourself for antibodies. If it shows up negative, you have to be smart and say, well, maybe my body hasn't formed antibodies in, and then retest yourself in a couple of days. By that time, you might still be waiting on your PCR test. See, we need more testing, not less testing. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So that's why I test myself minimum of every 2 weeks. Because, I'm young. I have a strong immune response. If I have allergies, I have a 4-year-old. She might come home with a flu or a cold, something like that. I have a 28-year-old girlfriend I love to kiss on. She works, we wear masks. We socially distance when we can, but part of the strategy is regular testing. Okay, so let's talk about Thanksgiving. So yes, it's positive. It's possible to test negative and still have coronavirus. Okay, so now let's talk about what happens at Thanksgiving. If you want to do, all right, first choice. Remember I said this yesterday. First choice, no Thanksgiving. Now listen, I have to say this because some people are going to watch this video and get all bugged and say, oh, he said we could get together if we buy his test kits. No, your first and best option is no Thanksgiving gathering, especially if you're in a hot zone. If you are in a hot zone, if you're in El Paso, if you're in Wisconsin, South Dakota, Salt Lake City, New York City, anywhere, if you are in an up and coming hot zone and you get together for Thanksgiving, live with the consequences, because you can't, there's no difference between this and like shopping impulse. You understand it's the same thing. You got to have it. It's on sale. It's 20% off. I need a new pair of shoes. This impulsive behavior, it's the same base behavior, base meaning like root behavior that makes you want to impulse buy. I need to get together. It's Thanksgiving. It's the holidays. We have traditions. Dude, you can't put off instant gratification for a year because we're raging through a pandemic. Think about that. You are so concerned and worried about what other people are going to think, okay? But there are going to be some people that say, Dr. Vong, my parents are old, my grandparents are 90, this might be our last time, we got to get whatever. We want to get together. We're going to be smart about it, okay? So if you're going to be smart about it, here's what I would do. Second best choice is this. This is what I would do, is this. Your second best choice, if you are unwilling to not have a get-together, is quarantine plus test. You need to quarantine now. And by quarantine, I don't mean go out. I mean like minimal groceries. Some people would say no grocery store, but definitely not a restaurant, not a bar, not at your hairs, not your nails. You need your groceries delivered. You need to only go out if you have a doctor's appointment. You stay your ass at home. That's what quarantine means. And I recommend 14 days. Why? Because we just talked about at the beginning of the video, the 14-day incubation period. It could last up to 14 days. So if you want to be the best, is quarantine for 14 days. Now, some experts will say that's enough. I'm going to tell you it's not fucking enough. You can believe me or not believe me. You can take your chances or not take it. But I would literally say 14 days quarantine plus a test. Now we are already past 14 days. We're at 10 days. So if you watch this video and you still want to have Thanksgiving get together, you need to say, hey, yo, 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 start quarantining tonight, right now. You'll hit the 10-day period. At a minimum, 7 days. Remember what I said. The average incubation period is 5 to 7 days. 5 days. Well, I'll just, because I don't want to bum y'all out. 5 days. So this Thursday will be 1 week before Thanksgiving. Okay. You're just, oh man, if you haven't stayed your ass at home, this means essential workers. I get it. You got to work. I understand. You have, some people who have to work. Some people, their job makes them go. Dude, stay at home. At the very least, you're going to have to quarantine plus test. So you can talk to your cousin, your sister. Hey, okay, you're an essential worker. How do we work this? Do you have time off? Do you have paid sick leave? Do you have, what can we do? Can you have a vacation time? What can you do to have this quarantine period? And then we're going to do some testing. Either you sit your ass in that doctor's office, or you wait in line for that test for 4 hours. And hopefully you can get a rapid test for 10-minute results, or an antigen test. Any sort of test is better than nothing. But they're wrong. What about accuracy? What about this? What about, dude, any test is better than no test, right? What you're doing is layering protection. You know, it's like a condom. You got to layer that protection, yo. And you know, you've all had those nights where you kind of wake up and you go, man, maybe I should have used 2 on that one. That one was questionable. Maybe I should have used 2. More layers, the better. Okay. You know, keeping your clothes on during sex is the safest. Okay. Just kidding. Don't listen to that. Just ignore that whole last minute rant about sex. Anyway, use a condom. Okay. So you want to layer your protection. So we talked about this in yesterday's video. Quarantine plus test. Now, what do you do when you get there? When you get there, it's everything else is the same. So at the gathering, it's the same thing. Outdoors is better than indoors. Masks, social distance. Okay. Now, some people will say, but Dr. Vong, we quarantined for 14 days. We all tested negative. Do we still need to have outdoors and masks and social distance? The answer is it depends. It depends on the level of risk you're willing to take, right? You're willing to take. If you feel good, you know, if it's really, you know, immediate family, all right, do it indoors. You can do it indoors and wear a mask except for when you're eating. You can do it indoors without, you can do it outdoors without mask and social distance. You decide. If you live in a good weather, if you're in Florida, Texas right now, it's 72 degrees today. It was like perfect weather. You know, you can have an outdoor Thanksgiving without mask, social distance, elbow pump, whatever, right? As long as you quarantine and social and test, right? You have to decide ultimately what is your risk level. Some people are going to be like, it's cold outside. We're going to be indoors. We've limited it to immediate family members. We've all tested. That's fine. You have to decide. This is called adulting. We are quickly going to become adults. Okay. So, last tip. This one's important. Okay. Okay. You have to treat Okay, now listen, the mistake people are going to make during the holidays is number 8. This is super important. Number 8. Okay. If you are from a different family, you have to treat them like coworkers or strangers. You are not, you mean, if I sat here and said, hey, let's have a Thanksgiving get together for all of work, you would say, that's stupid. This is a pandemic. Well, you have to treat family members from other family the same way. If they don't live in your immediate household, you have to treat them like coworkers or strangers. You have to sit there and say, do I really want to see my second cousin? Do I really want to see my aunt and uncle from another city or another state? No, I would say no. Some states are saying no more than 2 separate families. Like it could be, you know, you and your favorite sister decide to bring your little family together for a 6-member, 8-member family, 8-member Thanksgiving get together. They're all quarantining. They all had negative tests. We're going to be outdoors because we live in Florida or Texas or whatever. See, you're lowering your risk level. But remember, the number 1 safest way is to not have Thanksgiving. Just can't do it this year, guys. Okay. So, and yes, I understand a lot of people some people have had I mean, they've lost jobs, they're on fixed incomes, but I promise you, go sit in line for a test. They are not charging you out of pocket. Test now. They might listen to me. I'll do another video on this. They might start rationing tests. They might comment if you actually live in a place where you can't get a test because you don't have symptoms. Like CVS won't give it to you, Walgreens won't give it to you. You know, the questionnaire, they failed you on the questionnaire, right? I need a drink of water. Just kidding, that's vodka. Just kidding, it's water. Just kidding, it's really vodka. That's really a glass of wine. Listen, times are tough. You know what I mean? We have to take care of each other. I wish I could sell you these kits for free, but at $50 a test kit, you're talking about, you know, a little bit of profit for me. I got to pay people to put these together. And I got to stay in business. It's no different than a restaurant. You wouldn't go eat at a restaurant and tell them to give you the food for free. You wouldn't go to Marshall's and tell them to give the shirt for free or the Air Jordans for free. Nobody thinks like I'm going to go to Starbucks and Starbucks needs to give me my coffee for free. Like it's a real emergency. Starbucks, if I don't have my coffee, I'm going to die. Like literally, give me my Starbucks for free. That doesn't make any sense. I got this price as low as possible for you guys. Seriously, it's got everything you need, these test kits. I normally sell these for $500. That's less than Costco. Costco sells a crappy saliva test for $130. Plus, you got to ship it to the company. Plus, it takes them 2 days to get it back to you. And plus, they're upselling you to like some app or some shit. I don't know. This gives you 10-minute results. It's a deal at 5 for $500, right? 5 tests for $500. Normally, I sell these wholesale. Minimum order of 40 tests, $50 each. $50 each, minimum order of 40. That's $2,000 investment. And I thought to myself, well, you know, we're coming up to the holidays. Some people don't want 40. So the special for Thanksgiving is I lowered it to 20. You can get 20 of these from me for $50 each. That's a $1,000 investment, right? That's really the best I can do. That's the lowest I can get. You saw me test myself. They are 95% accurate. They are very sensitive. Assuming you do the antibodies, if you are able to form antibodies, this test will pick it up. It's 100% sensitive for the antibodies, assuming you form the antibodies, and it's 95% accurate. The nasal test is 70% accurate. It's sensitive. It picks up lower levels of viruses, but it's less accurate than this test. This test is more accurate, less sensitive for low levels, okay? So you just have to decide if it's right for you or not. If you think it's a scam or ripoff, you're really just saying you're broke. That's really what you're saying. And it's true. It's true. So for example, I'll call out Margie here. Would you go to COVID? I mean, would you go to your doctor and say, really, doctor, you're selling it? You think it's free? Like your doctor's office has to go give you a test, has to order this test, has to order this supply. You're part of the fucking problem. People don't understand simple economics. So, you know, it's not for you. Get the fuck out of here. I don't understand. That's why we're in this situation that we're in. I can't get it any cheaper. I mean, like, what do you want from me? I have to pay my supplier, you know? I had some asshole say, Dr. Vong, you should give your books away for free. Really? Because Amazon gives it to me for free? Like, what type of world do you live in, dude? So I'm just telling you, I'm sorry if it's not for you, but that's the best I can do for you. You know, $50 a kit, minimum order of 20. That's a $1,000 investment. Test yourself, test your family. Otherwise, I promise you it's cheaper than being on a ventilator. It is cheaper than being sick. It is cheaper than getting your family sick. It is cheaper than the burden of knowing you infected your family, right? But if you're too cheap for it, stay your ass home. Just stay at home, right? If you're interested in test kits, message me, facebook.com/Dr. Vong, facebook.com/Dr. Vong. As always, I will edit this video down and I will put just the tips up for you guys on my YouTube channel. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Asshole should give his labor for free and come wash your dishes. That's right. Andre, I bought it as precaution. Easy to do at home. Awesome. Awesome. Right. That's right. They do charge for your test. Joan, you're welcome. All right, hold on. Tomcat. That's fine. If you think it's a scam, I'll block you too. That's fine. It's my channel. Here we go. Spencer said, last I bought my 40 and gifting with vitamins, masks, and gloves. I love that. That's awesome. That's how you do it. Laughing Lioness. Cool picture. Very generous, Dr. Reed. Thanks for the info and offer. You're welcome. Aisha ordered some from me from Chicago. Now we're buddies, right? I remember Aisha. That's right. 95% accurate. And I can show you the FDA EUA test that shows it, right? Michael Horn, ignore the haters. It's just bizarre. I mean, I don't understand it, Michael. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Like, how can you listen? I don't want to get political, but you know, you listen to some things that come out of people's mouths and you go, how can you vote for that person? They're just not even a nice person, right? That's right. See, I stay home, won't test me because you have no symptoms, because they're rationing tests. They don't have the capacity for labs, reagents, all that stuff, right? You're the man, Doc. Thanks. Appreciate that. No, I think I'll run this through. But you know, if you don't quarantine, gosh, don't count on just this test by itself, right? And we'll try to do it. Yeah, go to facebook.com/Dr. Vong and send me a message if you want that. You know, this is good. Will you be getting vaccinated when the vaccine is available to the public? I will actually eventually get it. I won't be one of the first ones. I won't whine and complain because Travis, this is a good question, buddy. I'm young. I'm 48. That's not that young. My daughter thinks I'm old as dirt, but I'm 48. I don't have any medical issues. I'm 5'8", 142 pounds. So I'm not overweight. I don't have any comorbidities, so I'm really low risk. Can I catch it? Yes. Could I feel bad? Yes. But I would rather see, you know, healthcare workers get it, nursing home people get it, first responders, teachers. I'm not really in a rush. And that's not because I'm being selfish. It's not because I am trying to, you know, like wait for the bad results or bad side effects or more data. It's nothing like that. It is literally, we will not have enough vaccine out. So I really want it to be to the people who really need it the most, quite honestly. So that's why. Oh my gosh, really? Jacqueline, did he really do that? He had racial slurs. I blocked him. So thank you, Jacqueline. Appreciate you. You know, I would recommend it, Bonnie, if your doctors recommend it. And a lot we have to see what happens with the vaccines as they come out. So, you know, Elizabeth, there's really, I use just that triple ply. I should do a mask thing again. I buy my mask off of Amazon, a big box of 50. It's the blue one with the little hoops, the disposable ones. It's like literally $50 for, I mean, sorry, not $50. It was like $12 for 50 masks. It's really cheap, really, really cheap. And then I recommend face shields too, if you want to do that. Hey, Annalise, hope you're doing good. Yep, that's right. So this is just like a pregnancy test. If this comes out positive, you need to call your doctor. That's a good point, Catherine. And Catherine's bought tests from me several times. Yeah, these are different though. The measles, mumps, and rubella, polio. These vaccines are for a specific virus. The flu vaccine is different. This coronavirus vaccine, the SARS-CoV-2 vaccine, where it depends on the vaccine. They have different technologies that they're using. It's not attenuated virus. Most of them, some of them, I know this is weird, but sometimes some vaccines they're using DNA from an adenovirus. I know. Thanks. I mean, it's kind of cool biotechnology, but I don't know. Could someone have been diagnosed with flu back in December 2019? That was really bad time for influenza this last winter for influenza B. So a lot of people are like, I felt like really shit back in January. I think I had coronavirus back in February. No, you probably had influenza B. Statistically speaking, it was influenza B was everywhere and coronavirus was only in a couple of spots. So chances are you didn't have coronavirus back in February. Most likely you had influenza B. So thank you. Appreciate that, Yin Yang. Awesome. Okay, we will end on relationship advice. I broke up with my long-term boyfriend because he refused to stop playing indoor contact sports. Wow. Well, Rose, I guess it wasn't love at first sight. And two, if your partner is willing to put you at risk, forget himself, but you at risk, then it says a lot. Like he values his indoor sports more than he valued your safety. And you can see what's happening with college football, NFL, they're canceling games and all that stuff. And then the naysayers sit there and they'll go, yeah, but they're young and they're healthy, they'll recover. We have a study that shows these college athletes now have heart inflammation, chronic heart inflammation. These 20-year-old kids are having chronic heart inflammation because they caught coronavirus. Think about that, man. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, right? So, hey, sorry, Rose, I'm taken. Love you too. Viruses mutate. That's what they do. But what matters is that they're going to mutate. But the part of the mutation that mutates is very, very minor. It won't affect the major target that the vaccine is targeting, if that makes sense. It's similar, and I'll do a talk on this, actually. That reminds me, I need to do a talk. Maybe I'll do this one for you tomorrow. It's kind of like a book, like War and Peace, right? A huge 700-page book. A virus mutation is like if you change one or two words in that book. Not even one or two words, one or two letters. It still doesn't change War and Peace. It's still War and Peace, right? So these viruses mutating doesn't mean it will change the virus, is the point. You'll still have War and Peace. That was a good book to pick up. All right. All right, guys. Appreciate you guys very much. The haters can fuck off. Go away. This page is not for you. Unfollow, unlike, unfriend, whatever you want to do. Give me a terrible rating. I don't fucking care. Just do what I'm telling you. I mean, get yourself tested, whether it's through me, through your doctor. If you want to wait 5 hours in the car and 4 days for a test, just do it. I don't care. Get yourself tested. It doesn't matter. But $50 a test is the lowest I can get it to anybody for anything, right? It's just not going to get any cheaper. And your doctors are going to charge you $100 because they've got to pay minimum. Now, no, Dr. Wong, it's supposed to be free. Whatever. If you believe that, I know who you voted for, right? You've already paid for it. Your tax dollars. And then at some point, your doctors are going to realize like, oh shit, man, like this reimbursement's not what it's. We're losing money every time we do a COVID. You can't stay in business. Any business, even your doctors, if you lose money, guys, get over yourselves. It's just basic economics to understand that, right? So at least fucking like, if you don't like me, go see your doctor, get tested, and they'll tell you it costs me this much to do this and this, and I got to pay my nurse, and I've got to pay my nurse's aide and the front desk girl, and they have to pay to keep the lights on, to pay for the office. I don't know what people are thinking. It's just bizarre. Our educational system has screwed us up, has fucked up. If you don't think our educational system has to do with this coronavirus and why people are frustrated and don't understand and are mask holes and don't understand basic economics, I mean, this is a revolution. It's much more than just a revolution against politics or conspiracy theories or viruses. It is really an indictment on like our entire educational system. The fact that people don't understand this technology that I just demonstrated you tonight that could detect fucking blood antibodies in 10 minutes. They expect it to be fucking free or cheap. You understand what I'm saying? They're like, oh, that's too expensive. Do you understand the technology that it takes to do what I just did here, demonstrate here? But you'll pay $50 for a fucking like up level. My teenager has to like up level his video game. What the fuck is wrong with people, man? But Debbie snack cakes, I can get a ton of Debbie snack cakes for that. Well, what the fuck is wrong with you? You're paying for it in your diabetes. It's stupid, these people. Don't listen to them, right? If you think you can get it cheaper for that, please do. If you think you can get something more convenient than this for $50, please do. Then, you know, please tell me where you can get it, right? All right. I love y'all. Stay safe. I'll be back tomorrow with another COVID update because a lot of shit's about to change with a changeover and new recommendations and new guidelines. Prediction. Hey, for you guys who still watching, for those of you still watching, listen, national mask mandate. That's coming down the pipeline. You're going to have a national mask mandate. And I agree that it's states' rights. The federal government cannot make an individual state do anything, but the new White House will do a national mask mandate and encourage all the other states to do it, which they are starting to do regardless of party affiliations. Okay. All right.